Yes, my first year I think has been a complete whirlwind. I seem to have squashed so much into a mere 12 months. I think what I've enjoyed most is learning about all the different aspects of life here in Cayman.
Your Excellency, it's a pleasure to have you with us on CIG TV. Let's just get right into the interview. How has your first year been so far?
Well, good morning, Miss Donna. It's great to be here and it's lovely to be communicating with all your listeners. Yes, my first year I think has been a complete whirlwind. I seem to have squashed so much into a mere 12 months, and I have to say I am really loving the job, and that is all down to the wonderful people who've supported me in it so far.
Awesome. So what were your first impressions when you came off that aircraft of the Cayman Islands and its people?
Well, I think my first impression, it was rather humbling because there were a lot of men and women in uniform looking very formal, and then there was, I think, the whole of cabinet and a number of other parliamentarians all lined up. So that was certainly humbling. So I think, having been, first of all, rather frightened by the formality and the amazing reception I got, I very quickly realised that there was a huge amount of warmth behind it, and that is a warmth that I have felt every day since I've been living here in Cayman.
Oh, that's incredible. So what would you say is your fondest or some of the fondest memories that you've made in this first year?
Yeah, there've really been so many things. I think what I've enjoyed most is learning about all the different aspects of life here in Cayman. So, you know, spending time with some of our seniors, doing basket weaving, spending a bit of time with the quilters, learning how to make a rope, learning how to make a peppermint sweet, viewing the beautiful islands we have, the flora and fauna, going diving with the grouper aggregation was probably one of my special memories in my whole life, I guess, and I felt very privileged to be able to do that. Yeah. And it's a great conservation story for these beautiful islands. So there's just been so much engaging with our youth, seeing the youth parliamentarians speaking, meeting the youth who came back from the conference of the climate in the autumn, and hearing what they had been saying. So going to see our youth playing cricket the other day, our school kids reading to some primary school kids. It's been so wonderful just seeing the energy that we have among all communities here. Mm-hmm. And I guess the other thing that surprised me is how varied the different communities are, you know, going to East End, going to North Side, learning a bit more about West Bay, seeing the Brac, seeing Little Cayman. Everybody you speak to has different stories, different experiences, and even different accents that I'm trying to pick up, though I'm still not very good at differentiating between the different accents yet.
So it's been 1 year. It's gone by very quickly. What would you say some of your accomplishments have been so far?
The first thing I would say is that I feel that I spend a lot of time celebrating accomplishments, and they are very rarely my accomplishments, you know. So I think because it's such a partnership here, I'm always so proud to be seeing and celebrating the accomplishments that others have made, whether it's our youth, whether it's our business community, whether it's the financial services community and coming off the grey list, whether it's some of the cultural milestones that we've achieved, and really enjoying all the Emancipation Day events over the weekend was just such a wonderful example of how Caymanians come together and can really do a celebration very well, with some wonderful singing and dancing as well. I have greatly enjoyed, and I do feel very pleased that I've been able to build some really strong relationships. I guess that I regard as my main accomplishment, and of course it's always a two-way street. So I have a really great relationship with the Deputy Governor, Frans Manderson, but also all of our politicians. They are so supportive, so willing to share information. We work together. I've worked now with 2 premiers, Honourable Wayne Panton and now Honourable Miss Julie. And I have so much respect for them and the whole of Cabinet, who I meet every week when we have our Cabinet meetings. So I think that I regard as some of the main things I've done, and also pushing ahead with the relationship between Cayman and the UK, which is of course quite a fundamental thing for us here as an overseas territory. We need to make sure it's working. We need to make sure it's delivering for us as a partnership. And as you probably know, the United Kingdom is currently looking at its relationship with all of the overseas territories, trying to make sure it's as modern and as effective as it possibly can be. So here in Cayman, one of the things I want to do with our politicians and with everyone else involved with it, with the whole civil service, is to make sure that we are inputting into that and that we are satisfied with the result when it comes.
Okay. What about challenges? Have you had any challenges in the last year? And if so, how do you feel you've been able to address those?
Yeah, so I think one of the challenges clearly is that there is so much to learn and so much to do and so many people to meet. And I confess I did think that after 1 year I would have met everybody. And now I can tell you that is certainly not the case. So I've still got a whole string of people, organisations, things I want to do, more things I need to get out and learn about. So that's been one of my challenges, is just I would really like to have 36 hours in a day, not 24. The other serious challenge, of course, I think that is on everyone's mind is naturally our security. It is one of the things that is part of my direct responsibilities as governor. So I've seen the security incidents that we've unfortunately experienced. I've seen the concern. I've seen the general increase in some areas like burglaries and robberies, and clearly that is a major challenge for us in these islands. We are still relatively safe. I know that is quite a controversial thing to say because, you know, people are always saying, well, you know, that sounds like you're dismissing the problem, which I'm absolutely not doing at all. I believe we all need to work together. I have a great relationship with our new police commissioner, Kurt Walton. I really value that. I think he has got the right balance between looking ahead strategically to how we tackle these challenges, but also on a day-to-day basis, on the operational level, what we do about that. We've just set up a new group, in fact, to look at security. It's called our National Security Coordination Board. It will be chaired by the Police Commissioner and also Wes Howell, our very excellent Chief Officer. It will involve people like Bob Scotland from the Coast Guard and Charles Clifford from CBC. So we're bringing everybody together around the table to really look operationally at what we are doing week in, week out to achieve what Commissioner Walton has said he wants to achieve, which is to make Cayman a hostile environment for criminal activity. And I think we're making good progress on that.
Awesome. You mentioned earlier about your relationship with the elected officials and what have you, but how would you say you've been able to work with other branches of government and even the stakeholders in the private sector, and how has that worked?
Yeah, I think I've always felt in my career it's really, really important that every big challenge you have has to be a partnership solution. And it has struck me over the years that every challenge that comes our way is more and more complex. I don't think that's just because we're living today and we think our challenges are more complex. I think they genuinely are more complex. And so what we've tried to do is make sure that the civil service, which is a really significant part of the solution and where a lot of our Caymanians and other residents are working, they have to be in tune with what our politicians and our cabinet are trying to achieve, and they also have to be bringing in resources from the private sector, from the NGOs, from the schools, from wherever, One example of that I saw recently was the work we've been doing with the Health Ministry to get some really good data on our health, and particularly non-communicable diseases. So diseases like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, those kind of diseases. And in order to undertake this quite big piece of work, they've of course had to draw in the resources from lots of other parts of the community. Otherwise, it would not be a success if you were just trying to do it from the Health Ministry's viewpoint. So I think Nick Gent, working with Rachel, who's been leading that programme, and with the support of the Minister, that is a real success story. And I know it is currently, I think it's in the process, it's going to be communicated shortly. And I think everybody will really appreciate that accomplishment, because they will see how it applies to them and how it can give us all lessons about how we can maybe make even some changes in our lives to try and make sure that we're more healthy. I've just walked up the stairs in government building to the 5th floor, which is why I probably sound a bit exhausted. And I'm really trying to do that every day. It never seems to get any easier, but I'm determined to try and do it every day. So that's my tiny little change in my life, to try and be a tiny bit more healthy.
Awesome. So what are your priorities for the coming year?
Yeah, so I think my main priority is to continue to do all I can to support the whole of government in whatever they're achieving. Within that, my own responsibilities as governor are primarily for security, so internal security here, working with the police and all of those other stakeholders, and with our fabulous fire regiment, with the HMCI, who are looking at our preparations for hurricane season. That is a really important part of our security apparatus, and I hope that everybody has been putting the shutters on their windows, which we were doing at Government House a couple of weeks ago, and just generally being prepared, because apparently it is going to be quite an active season this year. And then the other part of it is good governance. I was talking to our Auditor General the other day, so she has been working very hard on all of the financial audits for our public bodies and our statutory bodies. And she is very proud to say that when you look at the audits across the board, almost all of them have been done on time. All of the ones we have done are unqualified, which means they are in a very good position. And it means actually that if you look across the world, Cayman is in the top category of countries for achieving good audit results. So that is part of the governance picture, and it's something that I will continue to support in the very best way I can.
Okay, Your Excellency, any final words?
Well, really just to say to everybody, thank you. Thank you to everybody who has been so accommodating, so helpful, who's shared their memories, their stories, their advice, even their criticism or concerns. It's just so wonderful to have that melting pot of feedback that comes back to me. And people have been so hospitable. They've invited me into their homes. They've shown me their beautiful gardens. They've made tea. They've made me all different kinds of heavy cake. I can't tell you the number of different sorts of heavy cake I've eaten, which is probably why I need to keep walking up and down the stairs. But yes, it's just a massive thank you to everybody, and to say that I continue to be 100% committed to serve the people and the all of the activities on these islands and everything that makes these islands great and continues to build them up to be the wonderful country that they are.
All right, Your Excellency, thank you so much for this time again. Of course, thank you to you, our viewers, for being here with us this morning. We hope that you've been enlightened with this conversation with Her Excellency Governor Jane Owen. Thank you again. I'm Donna Bush, and goodbye for now.